Hello class. This is your daily math lesson. This is lesson 10 of module 1, as you can clearly see behind me. And with this lesson, we're going to examine applying the skill of rounding to real world scenarios, real world problems. And this is something that I think is a real application of rounding and why I think rounding is so important, because you use rounding all the time in your life, probably more than a lot of other math skills, because you use rounding real world style when you pay your bills. You're thinking, oh, I need about rent this month, I need about $600 for rent. Or I want to go buy that new video game, I need about $60, $70 saved up. And those aren't exact amounts, those are just you rounding up. Like, you always go a little over when you're rounding with the money and things, right? Or if you're gonna have a party, Jeremy's party, there's gonna be about 15 people there. Maybe only 12 people RSVP'd, but I'm still gonna make a little extra food for people, right? Or you're baking. I don't really like so much sugar. I'm gonna round the amount of sugar, just keep it there, but I'm gonna round up for the amount of vanilla or something like that for a recipe. So you use rounding in a multitude of ways in your everyday life. So it's not a skill I want you guys to scoff at. That's why we've been hitting it pretty hard. And this will be the last day of these kinds of lessons for rounding, but we'll still have one more review for it before the mid-module test. So first, we're gonna look at this. We're gonna look at the DMR Fluency, DMR application problem. And it says, the post office sold 204,789 stamps last week and 93,061 stamps this week. About how many more stamps did the post office sell last week than this week? Explain how you got your answer. We're gonna look at that. You can watch me work through this on your DMR section of your math, okay? But for this lesson, we're gonna go straight to the work. And that work is the concept development. Well, you know what, let's start here. Read this number. I want you to pause the video and I want you to say it right now. Hopefully you've unpaused and you're ready to go. That says 935,292. And it wants you to round to the nearest 100,000. Okay, that should be simple enough for us, right? We've been doing this pretty well. And I've been grading these and you guys are doing great. We just need to remember our place values. Where is 100,000? 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. So 9 is in our 100,000 spot. So we have 900. You know what? I don't want to write so big because I want to keep some room. So we have 935,292. That's about what? Round to the nearest 100,000. And I said that the 9 is in our 100,000 spot, right? Because we have 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000. Hopefully we all know our place value chart by heart at this point. 100,000 spot. You need to look to the number to the right of it to see what you're going to round it to the nearest 100 or nearest 100,000. So like I've been doing, I've been drawing a little line here. And I circle this number next to it. What is our saying? 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. 3 is less than 4, right? Therefore, we are letting this number 9 rest. It's staying right there as a 9. And then what does every number after that become? Zeros. Remember, every number you're rounding after the place value that you're rounding up or letting rest becomes a 0. So every number is a 0. We're rounding this to the nearest 100,000. It is nearest to 900,000. Okay? Not bad. But I wonder if it has, oh yeah, let's do 10,000s. I like that. Let's do 10,000s and thousands. So 10,000s, let me clear all this. What number is in the 10,000 spot? So we go 935,292. Okay, so what's in the nearest, we're gonna round this one to the nearest 10,000. What number is in the 10,000 spot? Let me get a different color here. I always find that helps. Purple again. Well, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. Okay, so in my 10,000 spot, I have a 3. Look to the number to the right of it. So I like to circle it just to give you guys a visual of what I'm thinking. So I'm rounding to the nearest 10,000. 3's in my 10,000 spot. Next door is 5. 5 or more raise the score. Okay, so I'm raising that score. I'm raising that 3 up to 4. That means that 935,292 rounded to the nearest 10,000 is going to be 900. So every number before, or on the left side of the place value you're rounding will stay. So 900, we're rounding the 3 up to 4, we said. Every number to the right of the place value you're rounding is a 0 though. 940,000. Is 940,000 greater than 900,000? Yeah, it is. So what do you notice? When we round to the nearest 100,000, it became 900,000. But when we round to the nearest 10,000, it's greater than that. That's interesting. And since we did the nearest 100,000 and 10,000, I would hate for the thousands spot to be lonely. So let's go ahead and round the thousands to the nearest thousands. 935,292 is about, remember the squiggly lines means an approximation. The nearest thousand, or well, what's in our thousands spot? We have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Okay. We have a 5 in the thousands spot. What do? Remember, look to the number to the right. We're rounding the nearest 1,000. That's the number we're either rounding or letting rest. What is the number to the right of it? Is it 2? 5 or more, raise that score. 4 or less, let it rest. We are letting this 5 rest. So my number there is going to be 935,000. All these numbers are zeros because they're to the right of the place value I am rounding up. But the numbers to the left of the place value you're rounding stay the same. So 935, 000. All right, well, we're going to look at part 2 of this lesson. And this is, it's word problems. And I know, word problems, Mr. Ryans. But word problems are just using the skills you've learned throughout your schooling and figuring out what information is important. So let's read this together. In the year 2012, there were 935,292 visitors to the White House. Now use this information to predict the number of White House maps needed for visitors in 2013. Okay. Use this information to predict the number of White House maps needed for visitors in the next year. Guys, do you think that you could predict down to the exact person how many people will be in the White House? Well, how many visitors the White House will have? You can go, I think in 2021 there's going to be 400,000, well, I guess I'll keep it, 933,212 people. That's how many people are going to be there. No, you can't know for sure. It's just like visiting a museum, or you don't even know how many people are going to be in your house sometimes, right? There might be a visitor coming over. So we need to use rounding to figure out how many White House maps. How many White House maps we're going to need, because let's say we're working at the White House, you're in charge of the tourist department, you go, okay, we had 935,292 visitors, how many more are we going to need for next year? And if you're working at the White House and you don't get enough maps, I don't know how that's going to look on your, I don't know how your superiors are going to look on you there. So you need to make sure you order enough maps. But how many do you think we should order? What should we round? Huh? Our number, there were 935,000 last year. 292. How many do you think we should order? Should we go up, down, stay the same? If I was a guessing man, I would say we'll probably need a little bit more. Why don't we round to the nearest 10,000, just to be safe? Because I would hate to not order enough. I don't want President Trump to fire me. Okay, so let's go to the 10,000 spot. I've got 3 in my 10,000 spot, because ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. What's next to that? That's 5. So that would mean at 5 or more, raise that score, that 3 is gonna go up. So I'm gonna predict the number of maps we need for 2013 would be 940,000. What do you guys think? Do you think that sounds reasonable? And when I say reasonable, that means, does it sound about right? Because you're not gonna go, oh, we should probably get 10 million just to be safe. That's unreasonable. We're gonna start asking for reasonableness in your answers, because I want you to show me that you can think reasonably. I want you to show me that you aren't going to just say, oh well, I'm gonna order 20 million just to be safe. Like, yeah, kind of funny, but real world application. If you were ordering them for the next year, that's what I would do. But who knows? Let's take a look at the second part of this problem. Or the second part of this lesson. So then we have this concept development question, and we're going to choose the unit of rounding to solve an application problem. 2,837 students attend Lincoln Elementary School. Discuss with your partner how you would estimate the number of chairs needed in the school. Well, maybe if you have a parent or somebody sitting there, you can talk with them, but we don't have a partner, so you can yell at the screen at me if you want, and you can say that you want to do how many chairs in that room. Sorry, Mr. Myers was walking out back there. I had to wave at him. They're going to lunch. So 2,837 students in the school. That's a big school. Here at Cleveland, we've got about 650. So that's almost 4 times as big. Whew, that's a lot of kids. How would you figure out how many chairs you would need in the school, guys? Would you round to the nearest, let's say 2,837. Let's round to the nearest 100. What's in our 100 spot? The 8. Next to that is a 3. So I would round that. That's 4 or less. So I would let that 8 rest. That would make it about 2,800. What do you guys think? Do you think that makes enough chairs? Is that a good enough estimate? I don't know. I don't know if I would round to the hundreds, because look, 2,837. Let's say everybody's there that day. You're gonna have almost 40 kids without a seat. You don't want to do that. So what would be the better spot to round to? Well, if it was me, and it is me because I'm teaching the lesson, I would round to the nearest 1,000 because 2,837 kids, or students, excuse me, I would go to the nearest 1,000 because that just makes more sense. That way you have enough chairs for everybody. Maybe parents are coming or something, you know, you never know. So I would round to the nearest 1,000. And in the 1,000th spot is our 2. To the right of that is the 8. 5 or more, you raise that score. So we're raising that 2 up to a 3. Everything to the right of that place value becomes a 0. 3,000. That sits a little bit better with me, right? Because we have about 3,000 chairs so that everybody has a chair now. I think that works out better. What do you guys think? Okay. So now we're going to continue doing some of this work we've done. But, let's see. Let's look at number 2, letter B. That says 32,851 rounded to the nearest 100 is, well, 32,851 to the nearest 100. I'm going to make this a little bigger here. 32,851. In our 100th spot, we have 8. Next to that 8 is a 5. 5 or more raises the score, so we are raising the number on that 8 up to 9, right? And that would make it 32,900. Because remember, every number to the left of the place value that you're rounding stays the same. Every number to the right of the place value you're rounding becomes a 0. You guys should all be pretty good at this. We've been hitting it pretty hard. You've all been doing really well in the lessons. I've been grading them. Let's look at this one. Problem number 3. Empire Elementary School needs to purchase water bottles for field day. Okay. They need to purchase water bottles for field day. There are 2,142 students. Principal Vader, Darth Vader. Principal Vader rounded to the nearest 100 to estimate how many water bottles to order. Will there be enough water bottles for everyone? Explain. Oof. Seems to me that Principal Vader dropped the ball on this one. So let's look at it, guys. I'm going to work through this one, then I'll leave number 4 for you to work on by yourself. Number 3, there are 2,142 students at this school. Principal Vader wants to round to the nearest 100? I don't know about that, Principal B. That seems purple. Okay, nearest 100. What number is in our 100 spot? 1. What number is next to our 100 spot? Well, draw that. That is a 4, my friends. 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. So we're letting that 1 rest, okay? So in the nearest 100, that would make it 2,100. Ouch. It seems to me that if you were in that school, you might be one of the unlucky ones that Principal Vader did not order enough water bottles. You're going to be running around outside in May and June, whenever they have their field day, sweating, while Mr. Roynes is over there going, ah. Would you be mad at Mrs. Carmichael if she did that? I thought you guys had my water, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, the principal did not round properly. Some kids are going to be short. I mean, there might be some absentees, but still not fair even if 10 kids don't get a water bottle, right? So that's the kinds of applications that we will have for rounding. The real world applications, rounding up problems like that. Take some time, work through all the other questions, and I will talk to you guys later. Royens, out.